Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 1 of Needles on the Ready. My name is Kevin, and I'm coming to you from Stratford, Connecticut, where I live with my husband Ray and our dog Tarquin. He's a little 17-pound Yorkie, so he's a cutie. So we are going to be starting a knitting and fiber-related podcast. I've been knitting now for about 7 years, and I just started watching a lot of podcasts on YouTube. Some of the ones that you guys are probably familiar with, Grocery Girls, and I actually started watching Smells Like Yarn with Ross. That was the first one I've ever watched, and it led me to a bunch of other people, Hammy My Knitting, Sweet Tea No Shade, and a couple other people that I kind of dabble with, and I started doing that back in probably like October, November. And while watching them, I figured I would like to maybe give podcasting a go. I do actually stream my knitting on Twitch. So for those people who aren't familiar, Twitch is a streaming platform. It's mainly known for people who game, but over the past, I would say like year, it's become more popular for makers or crafters. There is a makers and crafters channel, so people who knit or crochet, cross stitch, woodworking, cosplay, a bunch of really creative people. You can find them online on that channel. So I do that 2 days a week, Mondays and Fridays, from 8:30 a.m. till 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. So you can always find me on there. My name on Twitch is Shadowcrafts, so I will put that in the description. And once I get a Ravelry page set up for the podcast, I will also add the name there in show notes. So I wanted to start a podcast as a male knitter. I think we're seeing a lot more men in the knitting community, but not enough. So I figured another man who knits, who's interested in the fiber arts, and to maybe showcase some designers and some dyers who are men would be really awesome. So I'm gonna kind of follow your typical knitting podcast formula. So we'll go over some FOs, some whips, maybe some gifts or purchases of yarn or knitting products, and then kind of just discuss things that I like, whether it be like patterns or books or TV shows or movies, things of that nature. So I think I'm just gonna jump right into it. So my first FO is something I'm sure most of you have seen. It's been super popular on Ravelry. The designer is somebody that I really love. I'm hoping to make more of his designs this upcoming year, at least one of his sweaters. I'm hoping for one sweater of his this year. Most of his sweaters are fingering weight, and I don't know that I have a fingering weight sweater in me. I haven't even completed my first sweater, so I'm thinking there's a DK one that I'll probably do. So my first FO is one of my favorite things I've ever knit. It is the Snuggle is Real Cow by Max the Knitter on Instagram, and I want to say Maxim, and I want to say the last name Sear. I don't know if that's the right pronunciation. So this I finished maybe about a month ago. So it's super comfy. I used Brooklyn Tweed Arbor for the exterior, and I want to say, if I remember correctly, I used Gale and Humpback are my colors. I want to say Humpback is the dark gray and Gale is the light gray. And for the pull string and for the interior, I used Shibui Knits Lunar, and the colorway I use is Cove. So it's a nice like bluey green. This is wool and silk. I couldn't find any Syria alpaca at my local yarn store, so I just went with the silk because I liked it. I liked the color. This took a long time to knit. It's very long. The motif section's 13 inches, and the ribbing was a total of 4 inches. But yeah, so this is one of my favorite things. It's super snuggly. It's warm. It kind of goes with everything. It hasn't been really cold here in Connecticut for me to wear it a whole lot. We had some really, early on, we had some cold weather, so I was able to wear it pretty much like the month of November, a little bit December, and we've had some really warm weather the past couple weeks, so I haven't been able to wear it. But this, I followed it to pattern. I used the needles that were recommended. I used the same weight yarn. I Was really nervous knitting this. As I was knitting it, the arbor is, it created like a very stiff fabric, so I didn't think it would have the drape that I wanted. I still don't think it does. It drapes much better now that it's been blocked and that it's been worn some. But I would definitely, I definitely plan on knitting another one and finding a superwash yarn to give it that drape. And I have the interior color already picked. I forget the name of the brand. I've never used it before, but it is, I think it's a wool alpaca blend, if I remember correctly. But it's in a nice, like a greeny yellow, or some people might say like chartreusey green color. It's gorgeous. I haven't picked any exterior colors for that yet. But yeah, this was a fun knit. I've never knit anything like it. I haven't been very adventurous in my knitting over my 6 to 7 years of knitting. A lot of my knitting's just been like hats and scarves, and so this this past maybe year I've started like, I feel like upping my game, trying some new stuff. So this was definitely a fun knit. I totally recommend it. I recommend a lot of his patterns. Like, look at the sweaters that he's designing. I want to say he just came out with another, was it a sweater? No, socks. That's right. He just came out with socks, and his boyfriend, Designs by Dell, just came out with a hat. I purchased that pattern, so I'm going to cast that on hopefully within the next couple of weeks. My next FO, oh my gosh, I don't know the name of this. It's a Stephen West. This is the very first, like, this is the first thing I knit for myself. It's the first shawl that I knit. It is not clockwork. It is, I made 2 of these. It is, what's the name? Clockwork, Rockefeller. I have no idea. I'll check. Hold on. Let's check Ravelry. So this, the yarn is Fiberco. It's their Acadia line. This was my first time, I want to say, doing cables. I'm going to look up the pattern. It's one of my favorite patterns. I haven't knit a lot of Stephen West stuff. I obviously follow him on Instagram and check him out on Ravelry all the time. I love his designs. I like a lot of his early designs. They're more my style. A lot of his newer stuff is beautiful. I just don't know that it's something that's wearable for me. So this I made another one. I'll show that on the next podcast. It's a different colorway. It's actually truer to the original design. This has a nice brown, a chocolatey brown, and a gray blue. I totally messed up though the first time that I did this, and I'm so sorry. I'm just looking for this this pattern. I know the name, and if I wasn't on here right now, I could probably quote it to you and come up with the name right away. Actually, probably be easier if I just typed in his name, huh? Stephen West. Not clockwork. Groove. Okay, yeah, Groove. So this is Groove. This Shawly scarf, I think, is a lot of fun because you have a really, and I'm gonna have to get used to where this camera is. Let's move my coffee. You know what? I hope I said my name. I hope I said my name was Kevin at the beginning of this. If not, my name's Kevin. And again, I'm from Stratford, Connecticut. So it has nice cables that are placed throughout. And I want to say you start off here. This is your cast on edge. Do some garter. It's all garter with some yarn overs and some cabling. And what's really awesome is all your your yarn over holes throughout and let's see if you could see this. So all your yarn overs, which are before and after each cable, act as a buttonhole. So I don't know that I actually ever button this. I just kind of wear it like this. I have my buttons out, little cable in front. What I really loved about this too is the I-cord bind off. I love a good I-cord. I like the structure of it. Sometimes I-cord could be a little stiff, so you may not get the like stretch in the fabric that you want, but this This is beautiful. I think in the pattern, if I remember correctly, he did use the same yarn. He used Fiber Co. Acadia, I'm pretty sure, and that's where I got the idea. I was really lucky. My local yarn store is, and the one that I go to all the time is Knit New Haven here in Connecticut. They carried it at the time, so I got this beautiful yarn. It's a silk blend, so it's really nice and soft. This needs to be washed again. And oh, you know what though? So I actually made another one because I made one mistake. I didn't pay attention to the pattern because it's not written in the instructions. It's like a afterthought kind of in the instructions. I didn't carry my yarn in the back. So at each of my first row of cables, my brown yarn is carried in front. And that is a new knitter mistake. So this I've had for quite some time. Definitely have had this for quite some time. And it's one of my favorite things. I probably wear this, I've worn this the most out of anything I've made for myself because I actually don't do a lot of knitting for myself. I just like the process. I like creating things. I just don't do much knitting for myself. So that's FO number 2. So the third FO was something I knit for the Grocery Girls Knitterella knit along. So I did this in a couple weeks. I started working on this in maybe November. It took me about 2 to 3 weeks. So this is a Knitterella, and I want to say it's Jill Zielinski is her name. This is her 800 yard dash shawl, and I wove in my ends. I haven't cut off the strings though. So you're going to see some yarn strings here. So this is, the 800 yard dash. And again, another really beautiful pattern. It is stockinette, mainly stockinette, and then you have like garter bumps in it. And let's see, and you can see them here. So a nice little design element that gives it some texture. It makes it a little more fun. It keeps it interesting. And some color change. I used Barrico 100% alpaca. See, and I'm really bad at this because I didn't write down notes, so I have no idea the colorways. I actually don't think they have names. Their colorways are numbers. I do have this on my Ravelry page. On Ravelry, I'm also Shadow Crafts, and I will link my Ravelry page in show notes. On Ravelry, I've been really bad over the years of making projects. I'm just starting to get better in using it like the way that it's meant to. With my yarn stash I'm building in there, I've been taking pictures and keeping track of all that. I've been starting projects and ending them and taking pictures. So hopefully as time goes on, I'll have a better record of what I've been working on, what yarns I've been using, and all the little notes. This I stayed true to the pattern. I used the recommended needles, the recommended charts. I think there was a blanket size. I did not go for the blanket size on this one. I went for the normal size shawl. This is going to be a gift for my mother-in-law. It's really, really comfy. Actually, here, let's do it this way. I don't wear triangle shawls, so it's not for me, but I think for her it's going to be really nice. I showed it to her on Christmas because we hosted Christmas here at the house. So I showed it to her, asked her if she wanted it. She does. And then my sister-in-law said she wants, her birthday's coming up in March, so she would like something. So I got to find a nice shawl pattern to make for her. But yeah, definitely give this a shot. I saw a lot of nice patterns designed by Knitterella. I think I bought another like hat one that I want to work on rather. So yeah, this one was fun. This was quick. It's really nice to do a worsted weight one. I like working with worsted weight yarn. You get to complete the projects a little bit quicker than, with a fingering weight. And then the last one I've recently finished. And again, it's blocked. I did not snip off my yarn ends, but this is what is this? This is a cowl. It's from Rib Magazine. Metropolitan. There we go. This is the Metropolitan cowl. This is also the second one I've knit of this, but I just finished this up within the past month. This is, again, with Fiber Company. I want to say Cambria. And I don't know the colorway. This is actually much tighter than my previous one. It doesn't, I don't know what I did differently. I think with my slip stitches, here, let's hide these. I think with my slip stitches, I held my yarn too tightly. I didn't have good tension. So you can see if I hold it up, the entire pattern is just a different repeat of slip stitches. And that's what creates this design. And I was trying really carefully to not hold my yarn so tight. I was actually trying to wrap it around my thumb and use my thumb as a good gauge of my tension. And I don't think it worked out really well because I have another one that I made in Malabrigo Rios, which fits me much better. It actually has a much better drape to it as well. But I love the pattern, and I had this yarn and I wanted to knit something, and I didn't have any projects in mind, so I just cast this on and started working on this. So this again is Metropolitan Cal from Rib Magazine, which only had 3 issues, and I have all 3. I was really bummed when I found out that they stopped producing the magazine, because I thought that it was a really good idea. Again, something for male knitters in the knitting community to give us designs, give us ideas, a way to use our yarn and be creative and make things for ourselves, because I do find it really hard to find things that maybe I would wear. Even for sweaters, I went looking for a sweater pattern the other day because I want to work on a sweater, or four sweaters this year. My goal is to knit 4 sweaters, and well, five sweaters. I have a sweater that I started in maybe August. I started knitting the Slate sweater by Brooklyn Tweed. It's a Michelle Wang pattern, and I'm using Cascade 220 Superwash with it. But what I did is I got my back done, my 2 sleeves, and then my 2 panels, my left and right panel, and one of my panels is longer than the other, and so I just put it aside, and I haven't really touched it. I haven't looked at it. I just need to go back and find out where I made the mistake and take out that panel and just reknit it. But that was a lot of work, and I had a lot of stuff that I wanted to get done kind of for the holidays. Ray and I, so my husband Ray and I, we knit 4 of the antler toques from Tin Can Knits for our nieces and nephews. I took part in the Knitterella Knit Along, and I started a project that I was trying to give to Ray for Christmas, and I never got to finish it because I took out like 40 rows of knitting with some small yarns. So that is all of my FOs. And I'll show in future podcasts, I'll show some other FOs that I have from like my prior years of knitting. And then obviously things that I've been working on that we finish off. So next up are whips, and I have 2 whips with me. So first one is, here, let's do this one. This is another Stephen West shawl scarf. This is the one that I was working on for Ray for Christmas. This is Clockwork, and I'm doing this in Brooklyn Tweed Perry, so it's fingering weight. Do I have my tags in here? I don't have the tags. So again, I don't know the colorway of these. So this is very similar in design to to the Groove. So it's a nice garter stitch shawl scarf. And instead of doing cables out, these are just some slip stitch sections, which I like. And you knit it for, I forget how many rows. I think it's like 12 repeats. And then you do a solid garter stitch section, and then you move these to different areas in the scarf shawl. And I think you also add 1 extra one. Right now I have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. So right now I have 4, and then I think I add a 5th one, either a 5th or 6th one in. So this one, I got all the way up to where I finished this section. Finished this section, did my 12 or 13 repeats, and I had missed a stitch back down here. So I took out 40 rows of fingering weight stitches. It should have been like 273 stitches on my needles, and I had 272. So this is why it was not done for Christmas. And again, I will make a note I have another one that I made. And I had used some shibui and another yarn, and I didn't like I love the way it looks. I love the way it came out. I don't like the colors that I chose and the ways in which I use them. It's like an orange and a green, and the orange is too orange for me. It's too prominent in it, so it's not something I'm going to wear. So I don't know what I'm going to do with it or who to give it to. But I love the process of knitting it. Again, it's just some garter, some yarn overs. These yarn overs are actually a little tricky with the slip stitches because your yarn gets a little bit tight. So I do struggle with the yarn overs, and it's only on the first two. So it's on the first two. I'm good with the second two. The second two, the way that the yarn overs and the slip stitches happen, it's much easier to do your make one left. Oh, that's what it is. It's a yarn over followed by either a make one left or make one right, and it can be a pain in the butt sometimes. So this I have stored. This is kind of with acquisitions or purchases or gifts. So this I got for Christmas. This is my lovely Marauders map, Harry Potter project bag. I don't have many project bags, so Ray got me this for Christmas. This is from, I'm going to check, from Twinkle and Twilight on Etsy. It's huge. It's got some pockets inside. Let's see if you can see. Let's see if I can show these. All right, some pockets inside, and then it's got this cool little interior thing here where you can put either scissors or a pen. So I'm loving having project bags so everything can stay nice and organized. And it has a nice, this isn't canvas, but it has a nice little holder here, and then 2 or 3 actually little markers. So we have the Deathly Hallows. Then we have this one that says Mischief Managed. And then lastly, the I solemnly swear I'm up to no good. Super cute. Love this thing. Great size. We'll take these out. We'll show those in a little bit. Oh, one of these fell off. All right, so we'll put this back in here. And then now my last whip is socks. So I've only knit one pair of socks. I knit it with a Cascade cotton and wool blend, and I knit it using the Church Mouse Yarns pattern for their cuff down. And I really enjoyed the process. I started on DPNs, and then I switched to 9-inch circs in the middle of it from Chowgu, and I did a heel flap and gusset, and then I Kitchener stitched my toes. And then I don't know what it is with Kitchener stitch. I don't know how to do it well. I always end up with extra stitches at the end. Even on the Snuggle is Real. On the Snuggle is Real, you have to Kitchener stitch. And when I got to the end, my last couple stitches, you should have 2. I had 3. So I don't know what I do differently. I lose count or I don't do something properly. So I have started a second pair. And I will say, in all honesty, my need to knit socks is strictly from the Grocery Girls. I watched all 85 episodes. Actually, that's a lie. It's not just them. It's also Hand Me My Knitting podcast with Sam. Sam does a lot of socks. And that's actually, Sam's the second podcast I had ever started watching. So it was Smell Like Yarn and then Hand Me My Knitting. And she does a ton of socks. And it really got me wanting to knit socks. And then I started watching the Grocery Girls. And Jody and Tracy turned me on to socks. Turned me on to Magic Loop. I've never attempted Magic Loop before, but I have. So this is my next pair. So I have 2 socks, kind of. This is in my Fringe supply bag, field bag. I got this one, I got one for Christmas, and then I bought this one for myself because I got Ray one for Christmas. And they were on sale, and I can't pass up a sale. Especially because I've been coveting this bag for years. So it was 20% off, so I couldn't pass it up. So I got this one for myself, and then I got Ray one. So in here we have my socks, and these I'm knitting on a 2.25 needle, again using Magic Loop, and the yarn I'm using is from a local dyer. This is from Once Upon a Corgi, who literally lives in the next town over from me, which I didn't know when I bought it. This is her Marie Cutie base. The colorway's Death, and it is 75% superwash Cordale and 25% nylon, 100 grams for 443 yards. And here's my first one. I am following the smooth operator pattern, but it's super vanilla because I'm obviously not striping it. The smooth operator shows stripes in the pattern, but this is just vanilla. I did 20 rows though of ribbing of a 2x2 rib, and I did a 15-inch tube. So my intention is to do 7-inch leg. I wear a size 8.5 to 9. When I measured my foot, that gave me 10 inches from the heel to my toe, and I'm leaving 2 inches for the toe. I don't have yarn yet for the afterthought heel or the toe, so I moved it over to some DPNs. These are my Knit Picks DPNs. I moved it over there so I could start the second one. This yarn is really soft. Even though it's superwash, it has a lot of like wool feel to it. So I love that it's gray. I love gray. It's got some black in it. I don't know. It's kind of dark now. So it's got some black, some yellow in here, almost like a gold. There's some speckles of green. And then there's these really nice speckles of, I'm going to call it a rose gold. It's probably the least used color out of all the speckles, but it's been super great to knit with. It's got a nice little halo to it too, you can kind of see. So this is the first one. And this was my first attempt at using Magic Loop, or attempting Magic Loop. So I'm using some Knitter's Pride needles. They were on sale in November. We bought them in November because they were on sale. They were like, I don't know, maybe $2 for the needles, something like that. So I'm on my second sock, and I think I got to about 10 inches in last night. The only issue that I'm having with Magic Loop, I don't know if it's the needles and the cord, because the cord's pretty stiff. So when I get to the end and I pull my needle out and I start knitting with it, it pulls away. The yarn pulls away from the front needle. So you can see, let's see if I can get this to show. You can see my laddering. And my stitches get quite big here. So my tension definitely changes. I think the rest of it though, my stitches are really even. I did not. Ray purchased some ChowGoo needles for us to try. So I'm going to try those with my next pair of socks, which I'm debating on if I'm going to try to use the rest of this. I don't think I'll probably use about 50 grams, so I'll have half the skein left. So I'm thinking I might do a pair of shorties and do heel flap gusset. These, I don't know if I mentioned it, I'm going to do an afterthought heel, which I've never attempted. So I figured, okay, let's give it a go and see. And my plan is maybe to do a sock a month, or a pair of socks, not just one sock, a pair of socks. A pair of socks a month. I would like to do the Coffee Talk socks. I have yarn in mind for that. I'm waiting for a Knit Pick shipment to come in with their stroll. I bought a bunch of 50-gram balls with a bunch of different colors just so I have some options for the heel and toes. But yeah, so that's all of my whips. So we have well, not all of them. I have other stuff that I just don't have here with me, and they're projects that have been sitting for quite some time. One's my sweater. One is the Brooklyn Tweed Red Shift Shawl. That one has been sitting because I have to steek it, and I had to do a crochet like chain thingamajigger to secure my stitches, and I think I did it wrong, so I haven't gone back to like look at that. So maybe we'll show those two next time, and I can finish those off and hopefully get them done this year. So that would make us moving on to, we'll say, acquisitions, purchases, gifts. A lot of these were gifts for Christmas. I was super spoiled this year. Everything that I got was, oh, you know what? I want to show this too. Everything that I got was yarn and knitting related. So I keep this in, I've been keeping this in my yarn bag. This is one of my favorite things. It's from Acroworks. This little kit I got at my yarn store, Knit New Haven, has everything that you could possibly need, I think, for knitting. So this has your gauge measurer thingamajigger. And what's really cool about this one is the little grips on the feet, so it doesn't slide around and doesn't move. And this really does a good job of helping you like keep track of your stitches. I find if I don't use something like this, that actually defines the row and the stitches, I lose track all the time. I start counting into like other rows. So this is awesome. Love it. And then it also comes with a little pair of scissors. Then you have your stitch markers, your needles to weave in ends, and then your measuring tape, and then your needle gauge, or to measure your needles. And it's got magnets in the back, so it's like these guys aren't going anywhere. Like, seriously. So really awesome. I don't remember the price of it, but I saw it, I want to say I saw it on Instagram, and then I went to my yarn store, they had it, so I bought it. So now on to some, literally everything here is, no, so it's mainly Christmas gifts and a couple purchases. So this is, let's do our bags. All right, so this bag is another Harry Potter. This is Dumbledore's Army, and this was also by, I'm gonna get it right, Twinkle and Twilight on Etsy. And I'm gonna create a Ravelry group, and I'll have show notes, and I'll link stores and things like that that we've talked about and patterns I've talked about. So this is great. I actually have a fabric very similar to this, but what I thought was really cool, and it's a great little detail, is it actually has the list of all the characters who signed up to be part of Dumbledore's army. And again, it has a nice little Deathly Hallows marker here, and super big inside. Again with the, so again with pockets, and then the little thing on this side, oh, which is cute. I didn't even notice it was just Hermione's face. So I think that's a really good attention to detail, where you could put your scissors or your pen. And definitely the maker of this does a really good job too with, there's a slight little interfacing, so it helps keep its form, but it's still soft and squishy, and you can fold it up. And then the last bag I got was, this is a fringe supply bag that Ray purchased me for Christmas. So this is one that he got me, and then the other one was the one I bought when I bought his, because, you know, sometimes you have to buy yourself a gift. And in addition to all of the bags, so he also got me like progress keepers or stitch markers. And I think, I don't know which one. So this one, I mean, this is a whole, like, this reminds me of like a diaper clip here of stitch markers. So hopefully the camera will pick them up. So it's just all Harry Potter related. So we have like the tie, a scarf, sorting hat. There's like the lightning bolt somewhere in here. Oh, here's a feather. What else? Oh, we have Hedwig. Where's Hedwig? Is this Hedwig? Yeah. Like here's a little owl for Hedwig. And oh, this one's really cool too. This one's like is supposed to be Hogwarts. Let's see. You know what? My lighting's not really great because it's dark outside now. So when I had intended to record this, it was going to, yeah, that's, can I get it to focus? Maybe if I pull it back. There we go. There we go. And then these are some more. So this one, these are on like those earring clips, this set. So here's a little Deathly Hallows. And then this is a platform 9 3/4. I keep covering up my face, huh? Platform 9 3/4. Here's another head wig. This is the Hogwarts The House Crests. This is a broom. And then this one is the lightning bolt. And I do love Harry Potter. I dressed up as Harry Potter for Halloween this year. I love the movies, the books, and I have a bunch of Harry Potter stuff here. This is our office. So I have like my Harry Potter mouse pad. I have Harry Potter mugs. I have, actually on my phone, I have a Harry Potter Deathly Hallows pop. A little pop socket. I want my first tattoo to be a Deathly Hallows tattoo. And I want it to be, though, knitting needles and yarn. So I'm gonna try to get that done this year. My first tattoo. I don't know how big it's gonna be, where I want it to go, but I need somebody to design it for me, and yeah, we'll see. All right, so up next is some yarn. 2 of these purchases are from my love of watching the Grocery Girls. And Sam, actually, because the first time I heard about this dyer is from Sam. A lot of the yarn that I've knit with so far has all been commercially made yarns. So Cascade, Knit Picks, Brooklyn Tweed, yeah, those are probably the most common yarns that I've used. I hadn't used any indie dyers before, so I wanted to start trying to purchase indie dyers with the idea of projects, or having like a project in mind, so I'm not wasting the yarn. But none of this really has a project in mind. So first up is some yarning, and yarning is, I want to say yarning's in Canada, the dyer. So Sam, and I know Sam on Hand Me My Knitting. Early on, I had talked a lot about yarning, so I saw a lot of yarning on her podcast. And then Grocery Girls 2 also has showcased some of yarning's yarn. So I have Pebble and I have Steampunk. So Steampunk is some grays and yellows, and there's even some like browns and oranges. I don't know, maybe a little navy in here. Some green, it looks like. This is DK on the classic DK base. So it's 4-ply, 246 yards for 100 grams. 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon. And then this Pebble is a nice like beige and white and grays and blacks and browns. And this is super soft and squishy. I love the feel of the yarn. My idea is to use the 2 of these together. I kind of want to design a cowl. That's one of my goals this year too, is I would like to design a cowl, and I may use these 2. If I don't do that, then maybe I'll use them on a shawl. But I think these are going to look really, really great together. I think they'll complement each other really well. And I don't know if I would do color work though. I would maybe try, I might be able to do another, what if I do another Snuggle is Real with this? I might do another Snuggle is Real with this. Yeah, maybe. Either that or I'm designing one. I've never designed an item, but I want to, so this may be it. The next color was a Christmas gift from Ray. This is everything that I love. This yarn is Savvy Skeins. They're a US dyer. This is in their Sensible Sock base. Rusty Wagon Wheel is the color. I keep covering my face. I'm sorry. So this is 420 yards, 100 grams. It's 80% superwash merino and 20% nylon. I love the burnt orange in here and the brown. I mean, Rusty Wagon Wheel is such a phenomenal name for this. I think it describes it incredibly well. Because it has that like the metal tones in it with the grays and the blacks. There's even, I don't know, maybe some bluish in here. So one skein is definitely being a sock. I'm going to do Tracy's Coffee Talk. That's what this one is going to be. Actually, I think it's going to be this one because I like this has a little bit, it looks like, of the lighter grays in it. So I think this might lend well to a sock. And I don't know what color I'm going to do for the cuff, the heel, and the toe. So I'm totally open for suggestions. I almost thought of a brown on this, maybe like a chocolatey brown. Because there is some, there's some nice browns here. So I might do a brown with this one. So these two were a gift. What was really cool too is, I don't know if she's not making it anymore, if she was just out of stock, but she didn't have any available. So Ray had contacted her and asked her about it, and she was kind enough to dye me up some yarn and get it to him by Christmas, which was super sweet and thoughtful. I have followed her on Instagram for such a long time, and her colorways are gorgeous. It's just, and this is me personally, with indie dyers, it's really hard for me to find gender neutral or masculine colors. There's a lot of pinks, a lot of purples. So this I feel like is perfect for me. And that's kind of what part of like what I'm hoping to get out of doing the podcast is getting feedback from you guys and getting suggestions on maybe yarn dyers and patterns that lend towards that gender neutral and for a more masculine feel to it. Because I have a hard time finding it. I go and I search, I started saying this before and I probably didn't complete my thought. I was searching for a sweater the other day and I decided I'm going to do the flax as my first sweater knit of the year, just to kind of complete a sweater. It's worsted weight. I've never done a worsted or I've never completed a sweater. So I figured top down raglan, worsted weight, really simple, great instructions, comes highly recommended. So that's going to be my first one. But after that, I've been trying to find more patterns for sweaters, and I really have to go to Brooklyn Tweed. Also Tin Knits. I think Tin Knits, a lot of their sweaters are great. But then when you search in Ravelry and you do for gender and you select male, there are too many that are categorized, I feel, that are going to say that they're for men, and they're definitely not. So any suggestions that you guys have, I'm totally up for it. So patterns, yarn dyers, indie dyers who have, colorways that you think lean more gender neutral and masculine. And then the last, so that was that. Here's this. All right, so the last item. So again, it goes, this is a Grocery Girls caused this purchase, and my love for Harry Potter did. So this is Lolo Did It. Lolo Did It is another US-based dyer. But Lolo Did It has a yarn club that is going to be the quotable Dumbledore Club. So, again, I love Harry Potter. I saw this and I signed up. What I like about this club is that you can change your base throughout the 12 months. So I'm going to do a couple months of sock, probably 6 months, and then I'm going to do, my plan is to do 6 months of sock yarn, 3 months of DK, and then 3 months of worsted. So this quote is, this shipment is based on the quote, "I see myself holding a pair of thick woolen socks. One can never have enough socks." And we got a full skein. This is 100 grams, 440 yards, 85% extra fine superwash merino wool and 15% nylon. And then we got a mini to go with it. And this is same 85, 15, and it is, I think 28 grams. So it's actually a little bit I think most minis are normally about 20. And then the colorway is thick woolen socks. So this is a nice beige, and it has some of the purple speckles, or some of the purple in it from the yarn itself. And then this one is Aerosed. And that's the mirror in the first book, the mirror of Aerosed. So this is a nice purple, and it's very tonal, very pretty, very dark. I don't know what sock pattern. I was thinking, isn't it like blueberry waffles? A sock pattern, I think, called like blueberry waffles. So I was thinking maybe using this yarn for that. And that, I think, is everything. This was super exciting. I was very nervous. I did not take any notes. Like, I kind of just winged it, because it's very similar to when I do my knitting streams on Twitch. The only difference is I don't have anybody interacting with me. So on Twitch, I just kind of wing it. So I figured I'd wing it here and see how it goes. So so guys, if you stuck around, I appreciate it. I hope to do this every 2 weeks. I want it to be a bi-weekly podcast. I actually need to do it earlier in the day so the lighting's a little bit better, and I need to get a little tripod for the iPad because I have it on like a box and a microphone behind it holding it straight up. So I'll work on that a little bit. And like I said, I'm going to start a Ravelry group for the Needles at the Ready podcast. That's where I'll do show notes. I'll put in the description of the channel and the description of this video, I'll have a link to my Ravelry page. I'm going to link my Twitch channel, and I will link my Instagram. So my Instagram is Kevin, that's me, period, Michael, which is my middle name, 80. So that's who I am on Instagram. On Twitch and on Ravelry, I'm Shadow Crafts. So SHADOWCRAFTS, Shadow Crafts. So thank you again. I'm super excited to get this recorded, and hopefully I'll have it uploaded. I'm going to try to get it uploaded tonight. I don't really think I'm going to do any editing because that takes a lot of time, and I'd rather just kind of have it out there. So we'll see, though. We'll see. So thank you, everybody. I hope you guys have a good day, a good week, and we will see you next time.